Wow, that is deep, and your passion just oozes in that particular track. That is
Thank you.
amazing. That's
Thank
really,
you.
really good, and
Thank
what
you.
you're doing. And just to give you a few pointers about rape in our country right now, every 30 minutes, a girl or a woman is raped in this country. Young girls are especially vulnerable, and nearly one in every three Kenyan girls under the age of 18 experience sexual violence. And as many as 68% of school aged children report having experienced sex under coercive conditions. And recent media reports indicate that defilement incidences continue to rise. And this is a report by Fiona Sampson and Sasha Hart. And today we're talking to Libby in studio, who has put together a campaign, an initiative that seeks to help those women to rise up again, to love themselves again, to create awareness about this, and to even shut down myths about it's how you're dressed. It's just because you're a girl, and what beauty is all about. And this, I'll just dive into how you define women and beauty, and you're saying your specific definition being changing the societal narrative that makes women believe that there's one definition of beauty and redefines beauty in a wholesome way. And that's really deep. That's very deep and
Thank
very
you.
passionate. Where did all this come from? I know you've explained a bit of it in the video, but maybe you can just expound more on that.
Thank you for having me. But justice for women began a long time ago. I keep saying that Michelle Obama is not Michelle because she became the first black president's wife.
Yeah.
She was Michelle Obama from the beginning. Everything led her to that moment. So for me, I felt like everything led me to this moment where I'm fighting for women. I was always passionate about fighting for people's rights and standing up. I was the child who, if someone is oppressed, I'm not speaking out. Excuse me, you don't need to do this. So a few years ago, about 3 years ago, my friend Edith and I was so angry because there were media reports that were showing that women, there was a lady who did an activism act. She stood naked in the streets of her town so that she can stop body shaming in the media. And then at the same time, Me Too was happening. And at the same time, so many things were coming out where women were being defined in a certain way. And I was thinking, okay, fine. There's beauty to everyone, you know. So why do we have in the media a certain type of body, and then if anyone comes out with a different type of body, they're shamed, you know? Why is it if I have a certain type of body, I'm a slay queen?
Yeah.
You know, and then slay queen comes with a negative connotation to
Yeah.
it. So we started posting on social media. Like, I would just post about beauty and my insecurities and how I've overcome them, saying that I'm not the shape that the media portrays. And so I'll just talk about my vulnerabilities. And then ladies started inboxing us and texting us, they want more. So we continue just sharing people's stories, and then we started the More Than Beautiful blog, which is now our website. So where we just talk about a wholesome approach. And it's not about beauty with what you see. It's beauty from the inside. If I know I am good enough, the quote you've said is so profound today, that failure is part of knowing that I'm on this success journey, and knowing that I am good enough, that no matter who tells me that I have to sleep my way up the ranks, I won't sleep my way up the ranks, not because I can't sleep around, but because I am good enough to get there without any man, without any cutting corners, you know. So it was just empowering women and them knowing that you are good enough, that when God created you, he was thinking, dang it, this girl,
She good.
she good, you know, and she perfect to
Yes.
bring her onto this earth.
Yes.
So just reminding women that they are good enough. And then it stemmed into now men wanting also their reaffirmation. So we'd sometimes do series for men and just what we're looking for in men, but not men who are ATM banks, because we're not here to cash out money from you. That men who are providers not of money alone, but providers of security, of love, of joy, of care. A wholesome approach to being a human being. Because if I know I'm good enough, I can be able to conquer the world. Yes.
It's beautiful.
Thank
Your
you.
passion, Yani, it's contagious. I feel like we just put everything down and start preaching right here.
I'm glad. Let's go. Let's go.
You did a song about rape victims.
Yes.
And I don't know how that came about because, well, over the years, it's been a conversation that has not been had loudly or loudly enough.
Yes.
Because there's been, when you are raped and you go to the police, then you get there and they ask you, ako wapi, where's the evidence? So there's been a lot of things that are not straightforward about a rape victim and the care they need to get, the attention they need to get, that is not necessarily negative, but towards helping them get better or find the person that did this. Maybe you can just give us a bit of story about how you got to write this story. Was there a particular thing that happened to someone you know, or was it just the news stories that were up and coming about the same time?
I feel like it's a little bit of everything. When you watch the news, there's never a week that goes without a story, either on the TV screens or on newspapers or in radio. There's never a week that goes by. And those are the stories that we are hearing. The stories that are on the ground are even more. The stories that are not even reported are even more. It's said that 8 out of 10 women know their perpetrators and are close to them. So we're talking about the fathers and mothers who are defiling their children, the aunties and uncles, the grandmothers and grandfathers, the pastors, the priests, the sheikhs, all these people who are not able to come out because they know the person, and the cost of going against someone who is loved is higher than just keeping quiet.
Or that
to
uncle
them.
that pays your school fees.
Yes, or that sponsor.
Yes.
We had the case of the Wazungus who have a children's home and they were defiling the
Yes.
children, so it has been a problem bringing it out, and also because it's a very touchy topic.
It is.
So
It's
when
almost taboo in some parts.
it's always taboo.
Yeah.
So when I was looking at that, I was just getting angry. And then a few of my friends were also raped by people I knew. And at that point, and I don't blame them, they didn't want to fight. But I was just there, I'm thinking,
why? How? But then that's why
something.
you're here, Libby.
but
That's why you're here
at that
to
time,
fight.
I was so weak.
I understand, but it doesn't change the fact that you're here today
Yes,
fighting
yes.
for someone else that does not happen again. And we're
Yes.
continuing with this conversation, so don't go anywhere. You can share your commentaries on this. You can share encouragement messages. You can share whatever it is that you want on our SMS line 22999 and Switch TV Kenya on Facebook, Switch TV KE on Instagram. We'll be right back. This is Full Circle. Welcome back to Full Circle. I'm your host, Mwikali, and in studio right now, I have Libby Ndambo of Rise Again Initiative, a young lady who is actually making changes around her circles and whoever she can touch by helping rape victims rise again. And like before we took a break, I was telling you, the reason you're here now is probably because you're not able to do it back
Yes,
then.
yes.
You were not able to stand there. And if that did not happen, then we would not be having Rise Again Initiative
Yes.
today.
True.
So everything happens for a reason. And when we look at the video, you have an implication of a man being raped.
Yes.
And I don't know why you particularly used a man in that particular video.
Because men are actually raped, because men are actually sexual assault survivors. I portrayed that because very many people forget that even young children are vulnerable, both the boys and the girls.
Yes.
So you have very many cases, like I think it was in May, there were about 3 reports that were done by TV stations that depicted young boys being defiled by religious leaders.
Yeah.
And that's a true reality. So it was so important for me to have a young boy portray that survivor, and because you have maids who are in the house,
Yeah.
and you don't know what these maids are coming with, and what they want, and people don't realize that rape is the penetration. There's sexual assault being the fondling of private parts, forcing them to do things on you. So boys actually go through that, and even older men. You have men who are drugged. You're drugged with a sleeping pill and Viagra at the same time, and you're raped by a woman. We have men who are coerced into doing sexual acts, by their bosses. That men go through that. The only difference is men don't openly come out and talk about it, because at the end of the day, everyone will be like, see, you liked it. A man
you're
always
a
liked
man.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a man.
Yeah.
So it was so important for
And also
me.
the thing about men do not complain.
Yeah.
Men do not cry. All you need to do is just man up.
Yeah, men
then-
like sex. Men like any sexual advances is for a man's benefit, and yet that's not the
That's
reality.
not the truth.
There are men who want to be faithful to their spouses or faithful to themselves,
Yes.
that I won't just sleep around. But the problem is some of them are coerced into it, and they're not able to speak, because how is a man coerced? You know, the man is strong.
Yeah.
And it's easy to believe a woman when she says that she's raped compared to a man.
Then that comes back to our society.
Yes.
And the things that we have made people believe, or the society believe, about what men are all about, and even women not to talk about it.
Yes.
Because if we openly have these conversations, then they will come out.
Yes.
And they will get help. And they will not
I
take their
genuinely
lives.
think if we provide a safe space, not the society as a whole,
Yeah.
you as Mukami, in your space,
Yes.
can I provide a space where all my boys can come and openly share about the most vulnerable pains that they're going through? And for my girls, that if they are raped, I'm the first person they
will
call,
call.
because they know, regardless of who it is, this girl will go through a brick for me.
Yes.
But what do? We're so selfish, you know. We're so selfish that we make people feel that I'm out for myself. I'm here for myself.
You
Where
deal with
ujipange?
you. Yeah.
Eh, you know. So if you provide a society where you take initiative, that it's synergy, that if you're not okay, one man down, we are all down. And we're going to pick each other up.
Yes.
You know, in everything. That's in depression, if we're talking about rape, if we're talking about sexual assault, cyberbullying.
Yeah.
If we say that you matter and I matter, so because we both matter, I'ma fight for you until you see that you matter.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You see, it is important for people to be able to call you up and talk to you about these things. And you are out there. What approaches are you using to help everyone else? And your songs help because people will feel like, oh, that's my story. Then this is what I need to do. This is, I could do this. But then as Rise Again initiative, what approaches are there that you help these rape victims and survivors?
So both for rape survivors and also for just the society, because we have to change the narrative.
Yes.
So we have events. So I partner with different people for especially the small events where we get to have dialogue one-on-one with people and argue things out, because I feel that's when change happens, when I can confront and call you out on the things you're doing wrong. So we have Rise Again events. We have the blog post, More Than Beautiful KE, where I share posts based on the things I've read. I'm a reader, so when I am able to now put everything together, I share on the post. And then there's social media, sharing out messages where you can get help, access to different services, like in terms of medical, in terms of legal, in terms of counseling. There are Rise Again partners where they give a subsidized amount of for counseling or no fee at all if you reach out to my social media pages or you reach out to me just directly.
They're like support groups where
We are working on that. The challenge with support groups is establishing trust
within
and
the
safety.
circle.
Yes, so that I can come and share about who raped me and who did exactly
Without
what.
be sure that it will not
It will-
probably go out because I don't want it to.
Yes, but also the safety of an institution. So I know there's support groups that counselors run, but they're not many. Yeah, because of that very reason. Establishing trust takes a long time. It's not like AA meetings where it's alcohol
just
abuse.
alcohol.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
well, it's not just alcohol, but
But
it's
yeah,
not as touchy as.
Do you know how weird that is? That we've socially accepted that booze could make you lose your life and stuff, and we care about you so much that we will
Yes.
not judge you if you go for an AA meeting, but we will not embrace you if you're looking for a support group after being raped.
Yes, that's
That's sad.
And I've been challenging even religious leaders that are my friends.
Yeah.
Is that we need to provide this safety.
Yes.
And institutions do that better than an individual. You see,
It's true.
anyone random trusting me is more difficult than trusting their church member, you know, or trusting their church institution. So we're working on the Rise Again group. And then in my events, I also hold events where people, this is the tag that I've been given this year, that when you come to my events, you come with a handkerchief or a roll of tissue, because we're going to cry, because I cry on stage.
I saw you were about to do that before we took a break. I was like, we're going on a break now. No, we are not.
Yeah, so people, during my
But yeah.
events, we talk about these things. We talk about the most vulnerable things, and they're not my most vulnerable positions, so that you can engage with my problems,
Yes.
so that you can share with me. So if I can trust you with what I'm going through, you'll trust me, and maybe healing can happen.
All right. Looking at our SMS line right here, I see Kelvin says women are the backbone of any society and the country at large. We need to respect them. We need to support and allow them assist in our development, not defiling them, therefore making our society lag behind in all terms. Hashtag God's love. And Becky's watching from Thika. Repeat the word of the day. We're going to do that for you, Becky. And Zainab says, I have a question. When women go around wearing low cut tops or short skirts, are they asking for trouble? Before I even jump right into it, I need to USA.
I saw you.
I saw you.
Whoa.
I saw, and this is coming from Zainab. So,
Zainab, thank you for that
yes.
question. It's such an important question.
Yes, it is.
If we give those justifications, then it justifies that I deserve to be raped.
Yes.
And so the question is, do I deserve to have a man defile my body, knowing that my body is the temple of God, knowing that my physique is for only one man who I give consent to, and then sexual assault doesn't affect just the physical, let alone the sexual transmitted diseases. It affects the mental, the spiritual. PTSD is a real thing. So if I wear a low cut top, I deserve that. Do I really deserve that?
Let me ask Zainab a question. What about the young ones, the
Yes.
little girls? What about those 5-year-olds,
Or the
10-year-olds?
old ladies?
Oh, the old ladies. What about persons with disabilities? What do you have to say about that, Zainab? I don't think anybody deserves
if
to
we
be raped.
justify,
We're not justifying anything,
yes,
not here,
if
not
we give an
today.
excuse,
Yeah.
it removes the focus. And in the song I say, misplacing the blame empowers the rapist. If you lose focus from the fact that he made a choice to come and rape me, you lose the whole thing. So we blame my dressing and all that, even if I
Yes.
wear a hijab.
Yes.
If that man chose to rape
It
me,
is
he's
them.
going to
It
rape
is-
me.
it is
So
them.
at the end of the day, the weight is on the
Yes.
person who made the choice.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, this ropes in the myths and misconceptions about, revolving around rape, because we'll hear things like, oh, she asked for it. Oh, she is my wife.
Why was she drunk going out?
Yes.
At the end of the day, I'll say this. Any reason you give for someone to deserve to be raped is dehumanizing them and empowering the rapist. So one of the myths and misconceptions is she came over.
Yeah.
She wanted it.
Oh, God.
At the end of the day, I'm allowed to say no, even if we've started making out.
It's
I
true.
can say no
It's true.
at that point, and you
Yes.
need to stop.
Yes.
Some of the myths are that men are not raped, or men are
They
not
are.
sexual assault survivors. Another myth is that when someone is in the workplace, and they're flirting, it's they're asking for it. Any form of relationship is asking for it. Another myth for parents is, if I tell my child to stay away from strangers, they will not be raped. At the end of the day, 8 out of 10 are known to the survivor. So, if you tell them to stay away from strangers, what about the man in the house? What about the visitor who comes?
Yeah.
What about the maid or the houseboy? So, the myth is telling someone to stay away from the rapist doesn't quite protect them from you. We have to
never know
change.
sometimes.
The idea is, if we stop looking at the victim and looking at the perpetrator, because that's what we're doing.
It's true.
When you say, oh, if I tell my child to do this, or if she doesn't dress like this, if she doesn't go out at night, if she doesn't, all these things are on the victim. The weight is on the victim to protect herself. What about the one who's waking up and saying, I'm gonna rape someone? So that's a big myth that we need to shift focus. It's not the victim, it's
It is the
about
perpetrator.
this person. How are we thinking about sex? It goes to our sex ed.
Yeah.
What are we taught about consent? Do we even know the Sexual Offences Act of 2006? Do we know the amendments that were made? Do we know that even talking sexually to a child is an offense according to the law? Do we know that?
I don't think so.
So do we teach our children that no one is supposed to flirt with you? under 18, because
Do we
that's
even
an
talk
offense.
to our children
Do
about
we
this?
do we even talk about
But
it?
consent brings me to a very interesting pictorial that I saw, and they were comparing consent to tea or sex to tea, and you saw that?
Yes, I
and
love
it
it.
would be, if I said I want tea at 6 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock I say I don't want tea, then
okay.
I don't want tea.
I don't want
if
tea.
I said I'm coming over for tea, and then I come over for tea, and then I say I don't feel like tea anymore, I said no to tea, so I don't want tea.
If I've been taking tea for the past 3 days and
Yes.
I want coffee or I want soda, I'm allowed to switch and say I want soda now, and you cannot take offense. At the end of the day, we have to think about it like that. I love that tea reference.
I know.
It's such a beautiful way to express it.
Like, if you don't understand anything, this
Yes.
is like an ABC. Please just take a look at it and
If I'm not,
understand.
if medically I'm not allowed to take tea, then you
Yes.
cannot force me to take
It's
tea.
true.
If I'm a child and tea is not good for me,
Yes.
then I shouldn't be given tea.
Great. There's a reference from your song. You say, you auction me to a system that hides behind religion, defending your name and honor. What did you mean by that?
So I had to bring in the church. You see, as a church, we're supposed to be the institution that defends the oppressed, the ones who say that we are the ones protecting.
Yeah.
And so what the church has done is very many, not even just the church, this is the religious institutions. We have sexual assault being done by religious institutes. But in those cases, they do not prosecute because we believe the pastor better than we believe the child. We believe the pastor better than we believe the lady congregant who dresses in tight clothes. So we defend the church's name and honor. Yeah. We protect and hide things under the rug so that the church can look holy, white as snow, or the Muslim institutions, or the Hindu institution, or no institutions at all. If those people who don't believe it, we defend name and honor before we defend the human being who has been oppressed. And it was so vital for me to bring that in, because it's like an auction. The thing being auctioned is my body as a woman. The auctioneer is the rapist, and the one who's bidding is the different systems, the court system that fails us, the religious institutions that hide things under the rug, the people who find it easier to blame me than hold the rapist accountable. Rape is, when you're raped, you're auctioned to depression, you're auctioned to HIV, you're auctioned to STIs, different STIs, you're auctioned to manic depression, you're auctioned to walking around in town and not being able to breathe when a man looks at you. So in that, it had to be put in the song so that people realize this guy had 8 seconds of pleasure, but I have a lifetime of baggages. And sometimes people are auctioned and everyone bids. Everyone being depression, PTSD, failed court system, a failed church system. They are locked in their house. They lose their jobs. They lose their so much they're auctioned to. And this is over a lifetime.
For 8 seconds.
Just for 8 seconds.
It's sad. It's really, really sad.
Yes.
For all the guys who are watching this show today and they'd like to get in touch with you, Libby, how can they do that?
You can get in touch in my social media pages at Libby Ndambo on Twitter, Facebook, on Instagram, or you can go to morethanbeautifulke.com and there's the contact area, or you can read some of the posts if you want to change. And we have to realize that I need to change.
Absolutely.
Not this society. I, as Zainab, as whomever, I need to change how I think about rape survivors and how I think about sex and what I'm doing to protect the people around me.
All right, guys, Libby is talking about all this to give hope that if you are a victim, a survivor, that you have a chance to not go through this alone, that she will be there to listen, to help you walk through this and to become whole again. And that you should not be ashamed because it's not on you as a victim. It is not on you. And do not try to protect the perpetrators because they will do that to someone else. So protect you by coming out and speaking about it and changing the system and the community around you. Thank you so much for coming through.
You're welcome.
Keep your SMSs coming on 22399. This is Full Circle. We're taking a very short commercial break. We'll be right back.